This is the ultimate indicator for when to buy your gold and silver. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching Yankee Stacking. I'm over halfway to filling this Canadian maple monster box. And boy, I'll tell you, I love me some maple silver. If you can remember to hit the like button on this video, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on some really cool upcoming videos that I have planned. This has to be the most common question I get asked. Yankee, when should I buy my silver and gold? Whew, that's a toughie. There are many factors involved in trying to answer that one. And timing the market, that's a hard thing to do, okay? Really hard. I don't sell my gold and silver ever, so I really only need to try to time the buy side of the trade. However, knowing exactly when to do that consistently would require one of these. A crystal ball. And I don't have one of those. However, what I do have that I want to share with you is a powerful indicator as to the direction of gold and silver prices. And this one has stood the test of time. And it can be described with a very simple equation. I call it the gold equation, because it's primarily focused on gold, but silver can also track with it. And I think it's the ultimate indicator of gold's price direction. It is real interest rate equals nominal interest rate minus inflation rate. And I'm going to share with you a really compelling chart that ties it all together. But first, let me describe what that equation actually means. You see, the interest rates that you see at the bank for your deposits or for a mortgage, they largely derive their rate from the bond markets. I'm going to go into all the details, but the bond market drives that, and the bond market is largely driven by the Fed, the Federal Reserve, and their federal funds rate that they charge to the banks. That's the nominal interest rate. That's the number you see posted or hear online or on TV. Inflation is largely seen as increases in the price of goods and services. But it's also a direct result of currency printing and the use of that currency in the economy. That's called velocity. All right, so a lot of fancy terms here, but let's boil it down. If you take the nominal interest rate, okay, and you subtract from that the inflation rate, you get the real interest rate. Let me give you an example. Let's say you put your money in the bank and got 5% interest. Okay, we just went into fantasy land here, but just follow me out. Put your money in the bank and for 1 year and you get 5% interest in that year. But inflation during that time is 3%. That would mean that the real inflation rate would be 2%. We do very complex math here on the Yankee Stacking channel, so hopefully that makes sense, right? Well, that's the theory anyway. What does reality tell us today, right now? Well, first, you can't get anywhere near 5% a year in interest at a bank. I don't care what bank it is. That's just crazy talk. And inflation? Well, that has spiked. We all know that. And it's here to stay, too. Even Jerome Powell admits that the Fed blew it with their whole transitory claptrap. No, we've got big inflation and we got low interest rates, basically 0%. So real interest rates, the real time value of money, takes those two realities and puts them together. And it shows how insane our economy is. Let me give you a real world example, something from my life. I gave a bit of my background in a recent video on where I invested my pension payout. I graduated from college in 1988 and I went straight into my first full-time job. I was pretty thrilled with making $30,000 a year. I mean, that was a lot of money 33 years ago, especially for a single guy. I could pay off my student loans. I could start saving for a home. I could start investing. Now, I know I said in that prior video that my parents didn't give me investment advice. Well, I found out my mom watched it and she gave me a hard time. She said, "Oh, so we didn't give you investment advice, huh?" Oops. My parents taught me about interest. Again, the time value of money. By late 1988, I had amassed $10,000 in my bank account from hard work. My mom told me that a good way to earn something on that cash was to buy a 12-month treasury bill or T-bill. At the time, I could buy a T-bill and earn, get this, 9% in 1 year. Yeah, Mom, that was an investment. Sorry. Inflation was around 4% back then. So my real interest rate was 5%. I thought that sounded pretty good. So I took my mom's advice. I left work one day in downtown Boston, walked over to the Federal Reserve building. I handed the clerk a bank check for 10 grand and got myself a T-bill. And I earned $900 in 1 year from that investment. Fast forward 33 years later, that 10 grand wouldn't get me $900, wouldn't even get me $90. I would get barely $9 from that investment. And inflation is around 5%, if you believe what they're telling us. Interest is no longer a means of investing your money. That's it. Those days are gone. And with the loss of, our manufacturing capabilities in the U.S., all the debt that we have, we're never going back to those days. The time value of money is a crock. It's a relic. Now we gamble with our currency. We play the game, hoping the giant Ponzi scheme keeps on going while we're investing. All right, so let's take a look at the chart. So I put this chart together on the Federal Reserve website, fred.stlouisfed.org. It's really cool. You can put all kinds of neat formulas in here. And if you look, you can see the blue line is real interest rates. Okay, this is a 10-year Treasury constant maturity rate minus a 10-year break-even inflation rate. That's the nominal interest rate minus inflation. You can see that's the blue line. The red line is the gold price. Look at this. The inverse correlation is stunning, isn't it? As real interest rates decline, gold rises. Sometimes there's a bit of a lag, primarily due to investor sentiment, but when real interest rates drop, gold goes up. It's the gold equation at play. The markets believe that the Fed is actually going to start tapering and raise interest rates, and that inflation is somewhat transitory still. So they're still buying the line from the Federal Reserve, which makes them think that real interest rates are going up. If that happens, gold would come down. And if you believe that, you probably shouldn't be buying any gold. But I don't buy that, not for 1 minute, because I'm convinced the Fed's taper pipe dream is going to be short-lived. The markets are going to go ballistic. And whatever they've tapered, they're going to have to turn around and start buying up and then some. I'm also convinced they're never going to make it to raising rates. And as I said earlier in this video, inflation is here to stay. So I'm convinced we're going to see real interest rates continue to drop. The markets don't see it yet, but the entire global economic system is not designed for currency to carry interest anymore. Once Wall Street comes to grips with this, Gold, I think, is going to respond as it always does with falling interest rates. It's going to go up. And I think silver is going to follow and even exceed gold's rise. What we'll witness over the next 10 years with gold and silver will be so stunning that my children's generation will study this paradigm shift and the unprecedented wealth transfer we're about to see. So that's why I think that this is the ultimate indicator for when to buy your gold and silver. Again, if you think that real interest rates are going to decline, then you need to be buying as much as you can. If you think real interest rates are going to be going up, then don't. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, don't forget to give it the thumbs up. And as always, I hope your day is A-OK.